Well, it's another Saturday and another black and gold report, but it's a big Saturday in UNC Pembroke athletics as the Braves are in NCAA action both in wrestling and men's basketball today. It's going to be a very exciting day. We have a lot to get to on this show before all of that action gets underway. It's going to be a lot of fun to talk about men's basketball today as we really take a look back at their season as well as last week's Peach Belt Conference tournament run. But first, let's start with a look back at the entire week of Braves athletics.
For the action last week, we start with a look at UNC Pembroke golf as sophomores Megan Monroe and Katie Flax each carded 3 over par 75 in the final round of the Rollins-hosted Peggy Kirk Bell Memorial Invitational to lead UNC Pembroke to a tie for 7th on that par 72 course. Early this last week on Monday and Tuesday, Monroe shot up 7 spots on the final day of that tournament. Freshman Maddie Corley finished in a 3-way tie for 14th to log her 4th top 20 finish of the season. Track and field last week hosted Mount Olive in their outdoor opener. That was the first here in Pembroke for the Braves of the 2017-18 season, and they got a pair of dual meet victories on Friday at the Dick and Lenore Taylor track. The women's team picked up 12 event titles, including a dominating victory in the 4x400 meter relay on the way to a 102-76 triumph over the Trojans. The men tallied 8 event titles, including a pair by Jathan DeBerry in the high jump and the 110-meter hurdles to fuel a 94-90 outcome. Gina Cube and Kaylin Francis also won multiple events in the outing. The men's and women's teams combined to register 85 new personal best times or marks on the day. Softball, they had a great weekend last weekend, dismissing Elizabeth City State twice, 18-2 in Game 1, 24-4 in Game 2, as the Braves rolled and ended up winning their 8th and 9th consecutive games of the season. Junior Jessica Ald belted a trio of 3-run home runs, and the UNC Pembroke softball team hit .529 with runners on base to take down Elizabeth City State in that doubleheader sweep. That was last Saturday afternoon at the ECSU softball field. The Braves open league play today when Georgia College comes to Pembroke for a noon doubleheader at the UNCP softball field. The Bobcats have won 4 straight games after a 5-6 start to their season. Baseball had a little slip up early in its series at Young Harris, falling on Friday and Saturday. Friday's game an 8-4 final, which the Braves were walked off, and then Saturday a game that Young Harris was able to control throughout, but number 12 baseball able to get back a game in that series to prevent a weekend sweep. Kevon Perkins and Connor Granger with back-to-back RBI knocks with 1 out in the 7th to give the 12th-ranked Braves the lead for good as they battle back from those deficits early in the game to slip by Young Harris in that series finale 9-8 on Sunday. Baseball was in action earlier this week at Coker as well, and they have some more action this weekend on their schedule in Peach Belt Conference play as they stay on the road to battle Columbus State. Men's basketball, they had the biggest wins on the week a week ago. They won over Francis Marion 94-75 on Saturday night in the Peach Belt Conference semifinal game. A 17-5 run midway through the second half helped fuel the win for the 24th ranked Braves, and it got them to 25 wins in the season into the championship game while holding Dietrich Browning to just 11 points. This matchup led the Braves into competition with Clayton State after losing at Clayton State just a couple weeks prior. That second-seeded Braves team able to take home its second consecutive Peach Belt Conference Tournament Championship with a 70-60 win. They took the lead in the second half on a David Strother three-pointer with 9:22 to play, and then down the stretch, their defense continued to reign supreme, and the Braves became the 4th team in league history to claim back-to-back PBC tournament crowns. Just the second program, though, to win both the regular season and tournament crowns in consecutive seasons. That snapped a 14-game winning streak for Clayton State, who had not tasted defeat since losing to UNCP in Pembroke on January 20th, 85-65. Nigel Grant was the PBC tournament MVP. He had 18 of his game-high 26 points in the first half. Akia Pruitt also was 17 and 7 boards with a block to help in the cause for the Braves. They now head to NCAA Southeast Region action today, later in Harrogate, Tennessee, against Francis Marion, who they beat in that semifinal matchup.
That was last week for UNC Pembroke. We'll take a timeout. We're going to come back, and then we're going to talk basketball as the Braves are in the Southeast Regional today. We'll have Ben Miller joining us in just a little bit and much more. Don't go anywhere here on the Black and Gold Report. Braves men's basketball in the Southeast Regional today. Welcome back into the Black and Gold Report. And they're in the regional after winning the Peach Belt Conference Tournament Championship for a second consecutive year. Let's take a look back at the sights and sounds when the Braves came back to Pembroke from Morrow, Georgia, just a week ago on the heels of their second consecutive Peach Belt Conference Tournament Championship.
Kane is in the building.
It was a great welcome back for the Braves from Morrow. A lot of fun to see where they were seated, headed as that 3 seed into the Southeast Regional against Francis Marion for a 4th time this season. And we had a chance to catch up with Ben Miller earlier this week in his weekly presser. So we talked to the head coach about the matchup with the Patriots. Without further ado, let's get his comments on this first round matchup that's coming up in just a couple hours in Harrogate, Tennessee against Francis Marion in the NCAA Southeast Regional. We were talking about it before this interview, but Francis Marion has come up a time or two this season, already a 4th meeting with them this year. Before we get into the matchup with the Patriots, let's just go back and talk about the conference tournament, and let's start with what it means to be back-to-back co-regular season and then conference tournament champions.
Well, it's kind of hard to put into words because it's just so much fun watching the guys, celebrate and cut down nets, and it's a kind of a snapshot in time, but it's the result of months and months of work by those guys and growing as a team, and it's neat to see them get rewarded like that.
What did you think were some of the biggest moments in the games on Saturday and Sunday against Francis Marion and then against Clayton State? Kind of some points in those games where you really felt like your team got some traction that helped them get those victories.
Well, going back to the Francis Marion game, I thought about midway through the second half, our defense went to a little different level. The sense of urgency went up, and I think that kind of helped us pull away a little bit, even though I think the game was a lot closer than the final margin and a lot more, challenging than you just look at the score. But our defense got better as the game went on. And then, the Clayton State game was just a back and forth. And I'd tell you a real critical part of the game is when we got in foul trouble and Jay Hicks stepped in and gave us maybe 4 or 5 minutes in each half to just buy us time to get, to the second half with JB in foul trouble and, Watts. We had some guys in foul trouble, but it was a real team effort.
With that, how do you feel about your team's depth right now? We've always talked about kind of the feeling like you have more than 5 starters, but I'm assuming now heading into an NCAA tournament style play where you guys could have multiple games and very little rest time, that could be a huge key for your team.
Yeah, depth is sometimes overrated a little bit, because the timeouts are so long, and a game like the other day when you get in foul trouble, it does really show up that, hey, you got to have those guys ready to play. But it was kind of unusual because, our first conference tournament game, they really let us play. There was each team only shot about 6 or 8 free throws, and then the next couple games seemed there were a lot more fouls called. So you got to adjust to the officiating, game in and game out, and it's nice to have that depth when you need it.
When we talk about, before we get in just directly to Francis Marion, your guys' first matchup, let's talk about this whole Southeast region. As you look at the teams 1 through 8, I think there's a lot of people around the country that have said that maybe this region would be the favorite after people get through to have a really good shot in South Dakota. What do you think of the region when you take a look at it as a whole?
Well, I know there's no other region with the number 1 and number 2, or I don't know if Queens is still 2 or 3 but team in the country. So and then, with Clayton, Francis Marion, the Braves, and some of the other teams, King and Carson Newman's had a fantastic year. So Lees McRae's had a great year. So it's a tough region, top to bottom.
When you look at having to face a team for a fourth time in a season, what are some of the challenges in particular that just that situation alone provides when you see a team so many times during a year?
Well, in some ways it makes scouting report a little bit easier. Sometimes when you play a brand new opponent, you're scrambling, gathering information and trying to get familiar with personnel. And so that part's a little bit easier, but at the same token, they know us just as well as we know them. So, I think it just puts a premium on your defense, your rebounding, your execution, because they know what's coming, whether you're running zone offense, man offense, they're going to take away sometimes your first, second option. So you got to really be good with your execution, and it's going to come down to, just doing what we do. There's not major changes this time of year. It's just trying to do everything a little bit better.
In the very last meeting with Francis Marion in the semifinals of the PBC tournament, Brandon Watts got the defensive draw against Dietrich Browning, held him to a season-low 11 points. He kind of joked after the game that he's not going to be able to hold him to under 5 to keep him from the Peach Belt record in this next game that's upcoming. But what was it about Brandon's defensive performance? What did he do that you saw that allowed him to kind of really effectively defend Dietrich?
Well, I think Brandon's one of the best defenders in the league. We got Akia, Micah, other guys. JB's gotten better, but Brandon, I think, consistently since he's been here, he's often gotten the toughest assignment for the other team's perimeter player, and he's always accepted, welcomed that challenge. And when you got a guy that has that desire to play defense, and is the length that he has, I think that can bother people as well. You're not going to, and Dietrich is not a one-dimensional player. Even if, he has a game where maybe doesn't score 25 or 30, he still gets his teammates involved. He plays defense. He's the total package. But, Brandon did do a good job of making it challenging on him. But you got to, when you play Francis Marion, you cannot sleep on those other guys because they can all score in different ways. They can really shoot it. They're good in transition. Big Judah's a load inside. And, they got some guys that come off the bench that contribute as well. So, we got to guard their team. Obviously, we're going to focus on Dietrich, but their whole team is very capable.
You've had a multitude of experience in the NCAA tournament at both the Division I and Division II levels. What do you take from the experience of just going and kind of not so much the game planning, but just the preparation of the days, the schedules, how travel works, how to get a team prepared? What do you take from prior experiences that you kind of use when you prepare for a tournament like this?
Well, I think we're fortunate with the timing to be able to give our guys a little time off to rest, heal some bumps and bruises. You don't get that kind of time throughout the conference season. It just comes so fast. So this was kind of rare. So you got to take advantage of that time to rest and then, getting back to work and getting refocused and really trying to eliminate distractions. There's a lot of attention, a lot of friends, family that are texting you, calling you, coming to see you play. And, ultimately you got to try to filter out a lot of that. And, the family members and friends will understand that you're where our focus needs to be. And fortunately, we've got a team that's, been on the road, been in different situations and been able to focus and compete at a high level. It's just a little more challenging this time of year because there's a lot of attention on our team and every team. So, the other teams are dealing with the same challenges we are, but that's something that our guys have to understand that where our focus needs to be.
And when you talk about the families and friends, the community support, it was a big group of Braves down in just outside of Atlanta for the Peach Belt Conference tournament. So what can you say about that support that you guys have received for these last couple of years and kind of throughout your time at UNCP?
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. I mean, it felt like a home game, with band, Mickey and the Maniacs, and a lot of the family and friends that made the trip. Micah's might have had 25 people there. He lives right down the road, so we had a lot of family and friends there as well. So it was a great environment, and throughout the year, our fans have been amazing in supporting our team during games, just in the community on campus. And, our guys have really appreciated that, and it motivates us to try to work hard and make them proud.
And the last thing to leave you with, Coach, when we talk about the fact that you guys have seen the tape on Francis Marion so many times. The guys know, who they're going up against. What's the mantra this week with the team? What's the kind of stuff that they're hearing in preparation for the NCAA tournament? What's that overarching message for the guys heading into this?
Well, kind of like going into a conference tournament. It's a brand new season. I mean, we started the year, you have 4 opportunities to win championships: your regular season, the conference tournament, regional, and ultimately the national championship. And this is a brand new 8-team, 3-game, hopefully, tournament. If you're good enough to get past the first one, you have a chance to advance. And I think that the whole key for our guys right now is focusing on the next play, the next drill and practice. Not feel good about what we've done, and we wanted them to enjoy and celebrate the regular season and the conference tournament, but now it's a clean slate, and let's get back to work. And our guys have done a good job, I think, of flipping that switch, of enjoying it, having fun, but also knowing when it's time to get back to work. And that's the fun this time of year is the excitement, but ultimately, guys growing together, and they've been a lot of fun to work with, and they've enjoyed competing together. So if we can stay in the moment, I think we have a chance to go up to Tennessee and have some fun.
All right, well, we're looking forward to seeing you guys there in Harrogate this upcoming weekend, and good luck, and it'll be a lot of fun to watch you play.
Thanks, Trevor.
Great comments there from the coach. We'll take another break. We're going to come back after this with more of the Black and Gold Report. Don't go anywhere here on the UNCP Sports Network. Welcome back into the Black and Gold Report, where it's a championship Saturday. NCAA championships going on right now. Wrestling with Nick Daggett, Eric Milks, Tyler McCosey, and Rodney Shepard all competing. And then men's basketball, they have the matchup with Francis Marion in their Southeast Regional round of 64 game in just a couple hours' time in Tennessee. We're talking about basketball a lot today, and the Braves had a heck of a season. Let's take a look at some of the highlights, the best moments from the Braves season when we look back at it.
Watts with the breakaway. Bryant down the hall. There it is, over the century mark. A lot of contest, but here's a 2-on-1. Pruitt throws it down.
Little tip underneath, and now JB earns another try.
Finds Pruitt and a one-handed slam.
Beautiful jam. Great find. Just a nasty jam.
Kinsey floats one, pulls down his own offensive board, sets Strother open from the corner.
Music.
Behind the back, Kirk to Grant. What a finish for the Braves.
Five on five. The handoff through a double screen. Kinsey crosses, drives, feeds.
Around, it's knocked at the feet by Strother. Lobs it up to Watts with the right hand. Brandon Watts. Strother was looking for Pruitt on the backside and the no-look pass.
Beautiful pass.
Pulled down by Kinsey. On to James Murray Boyles. Down it goes.
It's game time.
That should do it.
The drive by Bucks, and it's rejected by Pruitt.
Braves fight for the board. James Murray Boyles takes it. Micah Kinsey closes it out in style.
Big. The takeaway, though, by Tyrell Kirk. Kirk lobbing it up to Pruitt. The alley-oop from freshman to sophomore Kirk to Pruitt. Tyrell Kirk, left wing, stops, thinks about a three, fires it, missed, and Pruitt, a putback one-handed slam. Weaves two, goes under the bucket, leaves to Pruitt, and an exclamation point dunk right. He's Watts on the far side, zings it with the right hand. Brandon Watts, his turn for a two-handed slam. Kinsey reads a pass on the far side. He takes it left to right and slams it home with a left hand. At the line for the Braves, throws it back to Pruitt, and he raises up and slams it down with two hands. Hook free by Pruitt, up to Strother. Strother leaves it back for Pruitt, and he slams it home with a right hand.
Ben Miller, the winningest coach in UNCP history, closes it on a 70-61 day.
For the first time in the last 36 seasons, UNC Pembroke stands atop its conference for a second consecutive year. Your 2018 PBC regular season champions, the Braves.
Last year, they were the undisputed conference champions. This year, they settle their score with Clayton State. And for back-to-back seasons, the Braves are your Peach Belt Conference tournament champions.
They're a fun team to coach. You know, they're competitive, unselfish, and you know they work hard. But they also have a lot of fun along the way.
High-flying slams, three-pointers everywhere for the Braves, and what a year it was. Back-to-back co-regular season championships and back-to-back Peach Belt Conference tournament championships. We'll see how they follow it up today in Harrogate, Tennessee, as they get a chance to take on Francis Marion to try to move on to the round of 32. Men's basketball was a lot of fun to watch this year. The women's basketball team also made it to the Peach Belt Conference tournament, and we're going to show you now a little bit of a lighter side of the women's basketball team as they took on the Whisper Challenge. The premise was we brought in 3 pairs of teammates. One wore headphones, the other had words to say to that teammate. They tried to guess those words, and yeah, a little bit of hilarity ensued, as you can probably imagine. Let's take a look at that fun time with women's basketball.
This is hard. One more time.
Peach Belt Conference.
Did you curse?
Sharp!
Stop yelling.
And one.
And one.
Yeah.
Boom, I got that
The first try.
Coach John Haskins. Cookies.
Huh?
Cookies. Cookies. Cookies.
Cookies.
Cookies. Cookies.
Cookies.
Keys.
Cookies.
Keys.
Cookies. Cookies.
Get my keys.
Pass.
Say it one more time.
Cookies.
Cookies.
What?
Next. Is it next? One more time.
Nick Jonas. Nick Jonas. Nick Jonas.
Nick Jonas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Nick Jonas.
Brave Nation.
Breakfast.
Brave Nation.
Your breath stink.
Brave Nation. Brave Nation. Brave Nation.
One more time, one more time, one more time.
Brave Nation.
Brave Nation, yeah. What word?
Do you want to go get food? Do you want to go get food?
Going to get food?
Do you want to?
Do I want to go get
Do
food?
you want to go get food?
Do I want to go get some food?
Yeah! Woo! Do you want to go get food?
Do I want to go get food?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you Are you asking? Yeah.
Do you want to go get food?
Yeah.
Okay, me too.
Alright.
That's it.
The Whisper Challenge, a success. We might have to see it back here on the Black and Gold Report. We'll take another timeout. We'll come back right after this here on the UNCP Sports Network. Well, that's about all the time we have today. Thanks for being with us on the Black and Gold Report. Again, a reminder that wrestling is in action right now in the NCAA Championships. Men's basketball in the Southeast Regional also taking on Francis Marion in a couple hours' time. For info on all of UNCP sports, visit uncpbraves.com. And until next weekend, this is Trevor Williams wishing you a pleasant good afternoon here on the UNCP Sports Network.